Welcome to the Westeros Media Podcast, Lessons from the Ashes. We are here to tell the Phoenix Rising stories, coming up from the ashes to build businesses, to build personal brands, to parent, coming out, all of it. The stories of those who came from nothing and did great things. We all have a Phoenix Rising story, and I can't wait to hear yours. Join me every week for new podcast episodes. And of course, make sure you follow the show so that you never miss an episode. See you soon. Hello, my beautiful podcast listeners. I just want to let you know that there is a trigger warning for this episode. We talk about disordered eating and eating disorders. So if that is something that your heart can't handle, please just wait for the next episode. Love you. Hi, welcome back. I'm so excited. Okay, this is episode 2 of Lessons from the Ashes, the Westeros Media Podcast, and I am so freaking excited. The very first episode was like a smash hit. So many amazing comments. I got up to number 33 on the ranking for entrepreneurial podcasts in Canada on my very first episode, which I think is absolutely phenomenal and definitely needs to be celebrated. So we are coming in hot with episode 2, and I cannot wait to get into more stories of rising from the ashes, and also what do we do when we're up from those ashes? We're starting again, but where do we go from here? And how do we create lives that we fucking love, that also line up with these new lives we're creating, and also line up with our values and don't make us feel icky, they make us feel freaking awesome. So I can't wait to jump in. Buckle up. It's going to be another great episode. Okay, let's go for it. So what is this episode all about? We are talking about 2 things that are going to make people go, what? So, diet pills and getting rich quick. And you might think, what the hell do these 2 things have to do with each other? But I was thinking about this the other day and I just can't get it out of my head. So obviously it's something we need to talk about. The reason this came up for me is I was walking in this weekend. I just dropped the kids off with their dad and I was like, okay, it was a crazy week. The nanny called in sick the entire week. So I was like, working with kids home and like a little frazzled, and also like launching the very first podcast episode. So it was a big week. I was a bit overwhelmed. I finally dropped the kids off and I went to do a couple errands before going home and crashing to watch some Netflix and just chill. And I walked into Shoppers Drug Mart, which I live in a small town and there's like a little local pharmacy. So I don't go to Shoppers much anymore. I used to when I was younger. And I walked in and all of a sudden I got like this flashback of being in my early 20s. I was dating someone who constantly commented on my body and how not good it was. And I remembered so vividly going into Shoppers Drug Mart and looking at all of the diet pills, all of the options. So I would spend money I didn't have and buy these things which were not good for me, and I would take them instead of eating, and they would always make me so sick, and then I would either throw up or feel terrible or just be so hungry that I ended up eating something terrible and unhealthy later, and it always backfired. Yet for a good 3 years, it was a constant cycle for me to feel like crap about myself, go in and buy these terrible pills, and then get no results, feel like crap, binge for a while, and then go back and do the whole thing again. And I was just staring at these pills. And people there must have thought I was crazy because I couldn't stop staring at them and thinking about this cycle and how far from my reality that is now. And I know that obviously disordered eating is like a huge It's a huge thing, especially for women and especially for women in my age group. Because when we were growing up, the images on TV, the images in magazines were all so distorted as to what the perfect body was. I think we have come a long way in body positivity and in how people view themselves. There are definitely loads of unhealthy things there, but there are also so many of us who had eating disorders growing up. And I remember like the very first time I started calculating what I was eating and reducing my calories and, not eating, being hungry all the time and not eating till I was full was when I was like, I don't know, probably 15. And I was a thin teenager. I didn't need to be dieting. I remember looking back on my grad photos and I was like, I don't know, probably 35, 40 pounds less than I am now, which is a bit wild and also a kind of very scary. And that was like my first foray into basically beating the shit out of my body to comply to a standard that I couldn't fit to. I have big, wide shoulders. I'm naturally just larger than, your average, 5'5", 100-pound girl. I couldn't ever be 100 pounds healthy. So all of these, these messages about how being over 100 is like the worst and all of this stuff, it really got to me because it was something I literally couldn't achieve. And I was beautiful. I was not overweight. I was strong. I was healthy. And yet these things got to me. And I know that so many of us have come so far. I have come so far. Now I have a really great relationship with my body. I exercise, I eat well, and I'm very strong and fit and beautiful, and I love myself. But still, I'm many pounds over that, mark of what we were told was beautiful and perfect. And as I was looking at these pills and watching this happen inside my head, kind of watching this film reel of my past flying through my mind, I got a notification on my phone for a little masterclass. So we've all seen this, right? You get a free masterclass, you sign up, then you get all the emails after. It's a great tactic if you are trying to grow your audience and all of that. But the masterclass was one that I had signed up for a long time ago, and I was still getting the emails. And it was about making a whole bunch of money quick. And I looked at the pills and I looked at my phone and I had this aha moment, and I was like, oh my God, all of these get rich quick masterclasses are just like these diet pills. There are so many people telling you how to make money quickly, how to just fix this one thing and then you'll make $100,000. How, they used to make, $20,000. Now they're making $700 in 1 year. And like all of these things that they are promising humongous things, usually in 5 steps or less, or 2 minutes or less, or 10 days or less, ridiculous terms that aren't possible, but there's something inside of you that's like, damn, like imagine if that happened. It's like buying a lottery ticket, but the self-help version. So I see this so often, and I think that what it does is it doesn't help us. And there are people, I'm sure, who've tried these tactics and they've worked for them, right? I don't believe that every person who puts out a masterclass trying to help people get rich quick is a scam artist or, naturally evil. I don't believe anyone is evil. But I think that what they're doing is maybe one thing worked for them and then they're trying to replicate it and sell it to others without actually testing their theories, without actually being like, okay, so this one thing worked for me. Now I'm going to do a test group of, I don't know, a certain amount of people and see if I can translate what I've done to other people. And obviously, it's completely unregulated, the entire industry of self-help and coaching and money mindset and all of these things, which I think inherently are rooted in good, but have gone a little off the rails. And I think that people get way too caught up in the quick fixes again. And that is like, I think really damaging to your ego in terms of then you feel like a failure when it doesn't work. It's not just that the diet pill or the get rich quick scheme or the little master class, it's not that it is bad advice per se or terrible for you. Maybe it's only medium bad for you. But the fact that you try it, it doesn't work, and then you feel like a failure because of this one little thing didn't change your entire life, and then you start going down a spiral, right? And quite often that leads to us getting to that rock bottom that we need to phoenix rise from. And I think that the more we can be honest with ourselves and with each other and start to really talk about the realities of how there is no such thing as instant changes and instant results and getting rich quick and diet pills that will fix your whole life, because you could lose the weight or make the money. But if you don't work on what's happening on the inside, if you don't actually learn from someone who has your best interest at heart, then you're going to be left feeling like crap. I had some of this last year. So I worked really, really hard to make as much money as I could, and I did. I made more money last year than I had in any other year ever. And it was amazing and phenomenal, and I was so fucking frazzled. I was so burnt out. I was on edge. I was so pushed in a way that I felt like if it had to be more, it had to be, this is not nearly good enough. I'm not nearly far enough along. And looking back now, I'm like, holy shit, I wish I could just go back and give me last year a big hug and a big sandwich and tell her, dude, chill the fuck out. Because it was my first year on my own as a single mom, running a household by myself, and all I could think about was, am I keeping up with the others around me? I wasn't thinking, are my kids okay? And they were, and I wasn't being a bad mom at all this. But I wasn't thinking, am I putting shit away for retirement? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? It was all about how much can I fucking sell and how high up this ladder can I get? And it burnt me the fuck out. By the time the winter rolled around, I was an absolute disaster. And I had no coping mechanisms because all I had been learning was how to do more, but not in a sustainable way, and not in a way that actually worked for me. So I was able to make certain amounts of money, which was great, and I needed it to run my family, right? Like I have said before in my previous episode, is I went from, 2-income household running our, beautiful, modest life to all of a sudden doing it on my own. So my leap in income was huge, but my leap in lifestyle was not, because I needed it all, right? I was making up a whole nother income. But I felt this huge pressure to really get into this new lifestyle level, like get to a new level and like integrate to a new level of this stuff that, looking back, I'm like, did I even want any of that? Like, was that what I wanted? And maybe yes. Maybe I'll circle back and want that. But just so much of this like frazzled energy of having to do it fast and having to do it a way that really truly didn't work for me, it really started to make me feel like a failure when I got, when those results kind of fizzled out. And then I started to feel like a failure, even though I was still, making enough money to take care of my kids on my own and had this beautiful life. And like, I was like sitting at beautiful family suppers with my kid's dad and my kids, eating food that I had bought on my own in a loving house full of love and respect. And I still felt like a failure. Like, what the fuck is that? That's so damaging. And I think that this constant rush for it has to be fast and it has to be perfect, and you have to keep up with all these, keeping up with the Kardashians. Obviously we're not keeping up with them, but you know what I mean? Like this constant frazzled rush to keep up with whoever you've decided at that moment is the person to keep up with. And it really hurts your soul then when you don't keep up. And then when you can kind of fall off that train and go, holy shit, now what? And look around and be like, okay, so some of this I want to keep, some of this I don't. How can I make sure that I'm actually doing this from a place of, this is something I care about and this is something I actually want? Because I think there's quotes like, do you just want to be average or do you want to be great? And shit like that is so alluring. It's like tempting. It's like you want that. You're like, yeah, of course I do. I want to be fucking great. I don't want to be mediocre. But they're also so vague. Like, what does that mean? Like going all in and like, what does that mean? For every single person, it means different. And I used to use some of this kind of language in my marketing for my own programs because I was consuming it. So I thought it was like the way to go. And now I'm realizing, okay, so I don't operate like the vast majority of the people putting out content like that. I need rest. I need play. I need art. Like, making art for me is more important than so many other things because it's part of what fuels my soul. And now that I'm able to be more honest with myself about like, okay, so this is what I actually want and this is maybe what I don't want. Now I'm able to like reshuffle and be like, okay, so what priorities actually matter to me? And then how am I going to achieve those while not burning myself the fuck out? Because the last thing I want to do is burn myself out again and feel like a failure when I'm absolutely not ever again. Right? Like looking back at the pictures of the Stephanie who bought those diet pills and thinking, what the fuck was I thinking? I don't want 5-10 years from me, Stephanie, looking back and thinking, oh my God, I can't believe you thought you were a failure. You're doing amazing. You are so crushing it. And don't you dare for a second let your brain or something you read on the internet or somebody tell you that you are not absolutely crushing it. Because the feeling of failure after absolutely not being a failure, going through the hardest shit ever and making it out the other side, there is nothing failure-ish about that. So now that I have a little perspective and I can think, okay, yeah, you're right. You're right. I don't need to hit certain numbers. I need to make sure that me and my kids are happy and taken care of and loved, and we feel good in our skin and in ourselves, and just really weeding out the things that I'm watching and listening to, because that is really what can alter my mental state. And I'm sure, guaranteed, it also alters yours. The things that we're consuming, right? If you think about it in the same parallel as the diet pills, instead of taking the diet pills, why don't we just eat the healthy food and do the great exercise? So instead of getting another masterclass on how to get rich quick or listening to someone vaguely tell you you're not doing good enough, what if you just look at the things you actually want and what it's going to take to get there, and do I have the resources to do that, or do I need something else? Right? I think that we can really start to shift how people talk about this and what we say, and also not beat ourselves up for the past and the things that we thought and the things that we hoped for and the things that we ran after, and, a willingness to change our own minds and permission to start something new and permission to say, wow, that wasn't quite right, but I still love and accept myself anyway, and even if other people don't, I still do. So let me know what you thought of this. I really love hearing your feedback. I want to hear from you. I'm also going to be having a bonus content that is going to be available in the subscription on Spotify, and you will be able to ask your specific questions, and I'm going to answer them, baby. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure that you subscribe and that you review the podcast and that you share it. I can't wait to keep going, and I can't wait to keep hearing your feedback. And I am just really loving being able to share these things with you and talking about the Phoenix Rising and what it means to me. I'll see you soon. We all have a Phoenix Rising story, and I can't wait to hear yours. Soon I'm going to have guests on the podcast, and I want you to be one of them. So if you have a Phoenix Rising story that you are burning to share, send me a DM on Instagram at Westrose Media. I want to talk to you. Hey, I'm Stephanie Rose, and I am the host of the West Rose Media podcast, Lessons from the Ashes. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and on Threads and on TikTok and all the places. My handle is at West Rose Media. Check out my website too. There are so many resources for people just like you, people who are climbing out of the ashes, ready to make a new life. I got you, babe. Make sure you follow along. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. That way you never miss an episode and I can keep doing the magic. I can't wait to keep going. Let's get into it.